Welcome to another captivating dive into Hollywood's most hidden secrets, a world where fame, fortune, and glittering lights often obscure stories of heartbreak, betrayal, and scandal. Today we're uncovering Hollywood's most hidden secrets, tales of heartbreak, family drama, and scandals that shaped the silver screen's brightest stars. From the tragic disappearance of Carrie Grant's mother to the devastating secrets behind Ann Miller's personal life, these are the untold stories of Hollywood legends that will leave you speechless. Let's delve deeper into one of Hollywood's most captivating love stories, Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. Their romance was a saga that transcended the silver screen, capturing the imagination of the world in ways no Hollywood script ever could. Richard Burton, known for his fiery temperament and magnetic talent, was a force to be reckoned with in both his professional and personal life. When he met Elizabeth Taylor on the set of Cleopatra, it wasn't just the beginning of a cinematic partnership, it was the ignition of a love affair so intense it would dominate headlines for decades. Together, they were Hollywood's ultimate power couple, dazzling audiences with their on-screen chemistry in 11 classic films. However, their off-screen relationship was even more dramatic, marked by explosive arguments and grand romantic gestures. From diamonds the size of a small country to public declarations of love, their connection was as intoxicating as it was destructive. But like the most compelling stories, their love was far from perfect. Burton's infidelities tested their bond, leading to their first divorce, a highly publicized event that sent shock waves through Hollywood. Despite their separation, Burton couldn't resist Taylor's allure. He married 2 other women but never truly moved on. Their mutual magnetism drew them back together, culminating in a second marriage. Unfortunately, history repeated itself, and their passionate but volatile union ended in yet another divorce. Yet, even as their paths diverged, neither could fully let go. Burton often spoke of Taylor as the love of his life, a sentiment she echoed years later. In her heart, Taylor believed they would have married a third time if fate hadn't intervened. Just 3 days before his untimely death in 1984, Burton penned Taylor a final love letter, pouring his heart onto the page one last time. The exact words he wrote remain a mystery, locked away in Taylor's private memories. After Burton's passing, Taylor carried the weight of his love with her, preserving more than 40 of his letters, each brimming with declarations of undying devotion. These letters became her solace, a tangible reminder of the man she described as both her greatest love and her most formidable challenge. When Taylor herself passed away, she ensured their story ended on a poetic note, choosing to be buried with one of Burton's letters, a testament to a love that endured beyond life itself. Their story is not just one of romance, but also of human imperfection. 2 larger-than-life figures who loved fiercely, hurt deeply, and left an indelible mark on each other and the world. It's a tale that reminds us that even in the glittering realm of Hollywood, love is as messy, complicated, and heartbreakingly beautiful as it is for the rest of us. Ann Miller born Johnny Lucille Collier in 1923 in Chirino, Texas. Her life stands as a stark reminder that beneath Hollywood's dazzling facade, the personal lives of its stars can harbor immense pain and heartbreak. Known as one of the most skilled tap dancers of her time, Miller shared the stage with legends like Fred Astaire, captivating audiences with her grace and talent. But behind her radiant performances was a tragic story that exposed the darker realities of life in the limelight. Her story begins with Reese Milner, a wealthy heir whose charm masked a dangerous volatility. Despite studio executive Harry Cohn's stern warnings and efforts to protect her, going so far as to bring in Milner's former partners to share their own harrowing experiences. Anne followed her heart. Perhaps she believed in the romantic ideals so often portrayed on screen, or maybe she was blinded by her desire to escape the pressure of her career. Whatever the reason, Anne chose love, a decision that would haunt her forever. In the early months of their marriage, Anne became pregnant, a moment she described as one of hope and joy. However, her happiness was short-lived as Milner's true nature began to surface. His jealousy was consuming, isolating Anne from her family and friends. His mood swings ranged from aggressive to outright terrifying, and his controlling behavior became suffocating. The climax of this nightmare came when Anne was 9 months pregnant. During a heated argument, Milner's rage exploded in an act of violence that would change her life forever. He pushed her down a flight of stairs, causing severe injuries that fractured her back and forced her into early labor. Tragically, her baby girl, Mary, lived for only 3 hours. As if this devastating loss wasn't enough, the media, always eager for a sensational story, concocted a false narrative, claiming Anne had been in a car accident. This fabrication not only erased the truth, but also denied Anne the chance to publicly confront the violence she endured. It was a grim reminder of how the Hollywood machine often prioritized its image over the well-being of its stars. Anne's story didn't end in defeat, however. Through her immense grief, she found the strength to reclaim her life and career. Her resilience became a quiet act of defiance against the forces that sought to diminish her. Anne returned to the stage, her performances imbued with a depth and emotion that reflected the trials she had endured. What makes Anne Miller's story so compelling is not just the tragedy, but the quiet courage she displayed in its aftermath. She chose to channel her pain into her art, becoming a symbol of strength for those who watched her rise above unimaginable suffering. Her life serves as a poignant reminder that the allure of Hollywood often conceals stories of resilience born from deep personal loss. As we uncover Anne's hidden struggles, it's hard not to reflect on the harsh realities faced by many of Hollywood's brightest stars. These stories remind us that fame and fortune are not shields against heartbreak, and that even in the most glamorous of worlds, darkness can lurk behind the curtain. And Anne Miller's tale is just one of many. Coming up, we'll unravel the secrets of Loretta Young and Clark Gable, another story where off-screen drama eclipsed even the most gripping on-screen performances. Their story begins on the glamorous yet unpredictable set of Call of the Wild. What initially appeared to be a budding Hollywood romance quickly unraveled into a tale of heartbreak, secrecy, and survival. Behind the scenes of the iconic film, a dark and deeply personal event took place, leaving an indelible mark on Young's life and the future of her family. During a train ride back to Hollywood, Gable's actions forever altered Young's life. He forced himself on her, an assault that Young carried in silence, both out of fear and a desire to protect her burgeoning career. Soon after, she discovered she was pregnant, a revelation that was both devastating and dangerous in an era when an unwed mother in Hollywood faced professional ruin. In an extraordinary act of courage and resourcefulness, Young chose to keep the baby. Naming her Judy after St. Jude, the patron saint of desperate cases, Young found solace in her faith, but she also knew that secrecy was the only way to shield her child and herself from the judgmental eyes of the public. To avoid scandal, she placed Judy in an orphanage, a decision that must have been excruciating for her as a mother. After 19 months, Young quietly adopted her own daughter, bringing Judy back into her life under the guise of adoption. It It was a calculated move that allowed her to navigate the delicate balance between her public persona and her private love for her child. Yet as Judy grew, the truth became harder to conceal. Her striking resemblance to Gable, a man known for his iconic looks, was undeniable. The high cheekbones, the large ears, and that mischievous grin all mirrored the father she never knew. In an attempt to suppress the whispers, Young took Judy to a plastic surgeon at the age of 7 to pin her ears back. It was a heartbreaking decision that highlighted the lengths to which Young went to protect both Judy and her career. But no cosmetic procedure could hide the truth forever. The story eventually surfaced, and with it came a flood of emotions and a permanently altered dynamic between Judy and her mother. Judy's discovery of her father's identity brought a sense of betrayal and a chasm between mother and daughter. For Young, the revelation likely felt like the crumbling of a fortress she had built brick by brick to safeguard her family and career. Despite her intentions, the secret that she had hoped would protect Judy became a source of pain and distance. Loretta Young's story is not just one of scandal. It's also a deeply human narrative about a woman trying to navigate an impossible situation. Her decisions, born from love and fear, reflect the intense pressure of being a woman in Hollywood during its golden age. Young was forced to carry the weight of silence, protect her child from a cruel world, and continue to deliver performances that radiated poise and grace, all while enduring the private anguish of her circumstances. For Judy, the journey of discovering her origins was equally poignant. It's a reminder of how the choices made in the name of love and protection can have unintended consequences. Their story is a testament to the complex, often painful realities behind the glamorous facade of Hollywood. As we unravel this poignant chapter, it becomes clear that the line between personal sacrifice and societal expectation is razor thin in the world of fame. Up next, we'll delve into the life of Ingrid Bergman, whose journey proves that even the brightest stars must navigate the shadows of their past. Ingrid Bergman's life was a testament to the complexities of fame, where brilliance on screen often masked turbulence off-screen. She was one of Hollywood's brightest stars, known for her elegance and unmatched talent, but her personal life told a far more intricate story, one of love, betrayal, and a relentless pursuit of passion that came at a high cost. During the filming of Spellbound in 1945, whispers of a romance between Bergman and her co-star Gregory Peck began circulating. Years later, Peck confirmed their brief affair, calling it a moment of pure passion. He admitted that their intense work together and mutual attraction made it impossible to resist. While their connection was fleeting, it reflected Bergman's tendency to live boldly, unapologetically following her heart, despite the potential consequences. But the most significant relationship in Bergman's life, and perhaps the most controversial, was not with Peck, but with Roberto Rossellini, the Italian director. Their affair began while she was still married to her first husband, Peter Lindstrom, a man she had once described as supportive, but who ultimately felt overshadowed by her career ambitions. Lindstrom did not hold back his grievances, painting Bergman as selfish and accusing her of abandoning their family in pursuit of stardom. The affair with Rossellini was a scandal of international proportions. Bergman, a beloved Hollywood icon, became the subject of public outrage when she left her husband and young daughter to be with Rossellini. The controversy reached such a fever pitch that she was denounced on the floor of the U.S. Senate, labeled as immoral, and effectively exiled from Hollywood for several years. Despite the public outcry, Bergman and Rossellini embraced their new life together, marrying and having 3 children, including the actress Isabella Rossellini. While their union was celebrated by some as a defiant act of love, it was far from perfect. Rossellini's controlling nature and Bergman's independent spirit led to frequent clashes, and their marriage eventually ended in divorce. What makes Bergman's story so compelling is her ability to rise above the scandals and reclaim her place in Hollywood. After years of being ostracized, she made a triumphant return with Anastasia in 1956, a performance that earned her an Academy Award and restored her reputation. She later reflected on her life with remarkable candor, admitting her flaws but refusing to apologize for living authentically. Peter Lindstrom, however, never forgave her. Long after their separation, he publicly condemned Bergman in interviews, portraying her as cold and unfeeling. His accusations cast a shadow over her legacy, complicating the narrative of a woman who was both adored and vilified. Yet Bergman's story is more than a tale of scandal. It's a narrative of resilience and the complexities of human relationships. She was a woman unafraid to defy societal expectations, even when it meant paying a steep personal and professional price. Her life serves as a reminder that the pursuit of happiness often comes with sacrifices, and that authenticity can be both a blessing and a burden. As we move on from Ingrid Bergman's turbulent tale, we'll turn to another iconic figure whose life was shrouded in mystery and heartbreak, Marilyn Monroe. Stay tuned for a deeper look at the enduring enigmas surrounding one of Hollywood's most unforgettable stars. Marilyn Monroe, born Norma Jean Mortensen, in July 1926 in Los Angeles, California. Her life is a paradox, a dazzling symbol of beauty, charm, and stardom on the surface, yet a deeply complex and troubled soul beneath the glittering veneer. Decades after her untimely death, she remains one of Hollywood's most enduring enigmas, her story a mix of triumph, tragedy, and unanswered questions that continue to captivate and haunt the world. Her marriages were as publicized as her career, but none left a mark as indelible as her relationship with Joe DiMaggio. The baseball legend adored Monroe with a devotion that outlasted their marriage. Their union, though short-lived, was marked by intense passion and equally intense conflict, with DiMaggio struggling to reconcile his conservative values with Monroe's rising fame and independence. Yet, it was after their divorce that their story took a poignant turn. Despite their differences, DiMaggio never stopped loving Monroe. In the years following her death, he reportedly sent roses to her crypt 3 times a week for 2 decades, a gesture that spoke of a love he never truly let go. Rumors suggest that just before Monroe's tragic overdose, the two had reconciled and were planning to remarry. Whether true or not, the possibility adds another layer of heartbreak to her already tragic narrative. Marilyn Monroe's story didn't end with her death. In fact, it only became more mysterious. When actress Veronica Hamill purchased and renovated Monroe's former home in the early 1970s, she made a chilling discovery: extensive wiretaps hidden throughout the property. This revelation sparked decades of speculation. Who was listening and why? Theories range from the FBI and CIA to organized crime syndicates, each with their own motives for keeping tabs on the star. Monroe's associations with powerful figures only fueled the intrigue. Her connections to John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy led to whispers of conspiracies and cover-ups. Some even speculated that her death wasn't an accident but a calculated silencing, though no definitive evidence has ever surfaced to substantiate these claims. Adding to the mystery were disturbing details about Monroe's personal life. Accounts of her childhood reveal a harrowing start: an absent father, a mother institutionalized for schizophrenia, and a series of foster homes that left deep emotional scars. Despite her fame, these early traumas haunted her, contributing to the struggles she faced with mental health and addiction. Then there are the stories, bizarre and unsettling, that hint at the darker corners of her psyche. One account, shared by a purported friend, describes Monroe expressing a deeply twisted desire to reconnect with her estranged father in ways that defy comprehension. Whether this story is true or a fabrication, it underscores the layers of myth and reality that blur when it comes to Monroe's life. Monroe's story is more than just a cautionary tale. It's a mirror reflecting the pressures and contradictions of fame. She was a woman who longed for love and belonging, but became a symbol of unattainable beauty and desire. She was both a victim of her circumstances and a force of nature who defied expectations. As we ponder her life and legacy, one thing is clear. Marilyn Monroe was more than just an icon. She was a human being full of contradictions, vulnerabilities, and dreams, whose story continues to resonate across generations. Next, Lauren Bacall's story takes us on an emotional journey through love, loss, and resilience, a life marked by deep connections and profound heartbreaks. Her tale stands as a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit, even in the face of unimaginable sorrow. Bacall's life changed forever when she met Humphrey Bogart, a man who would become her great love and lifelong companion. Their romance began on the set of To Have and Have Not, where their undeniable chemistry ignited one of Hollywood's most iconic partnerships. For Bacall, Bogart wasn't just a co-star, he was her soulmate, her anchor in the often chaotic world of fame. Together, they created a world of their own, one filled with laughter, trust, and an unshakable bond. Their marriage became the stuff of Hollywood legend, not just for its glamour, but for its authenticity. In an industry known for fleeting relationships, Bacall and Bogart's love story stood out as something real and enduring. But as with all great stories, tragedy struck. In 1957, Bogart passed away from esophageal cancer, leaving Bacall devastated. She later admitted that his death left her feeling completely lost, struggling to find her place in a world without him. The nights were particularly cruel, as she often woke up from nightmares, haunted by the absence of the man she had built her life around. In the years following Bogart's death, Bacall navigated the complexities of moving forward while holding on to the memories of her late husband. She eventually crossed paths with Frank Sinatra, a man whose charisma and charm were impossible to ignore. Their brief romance offered Bacall a glimpse of happiness again, and when Sinatra proposed, she saw it as a chance to rebuild a part of her life. However, their engagement was doomed from the start. In a moment of misplaced trust, Bacall confided in a friend about Sinatra's proposal. That friend betrayed her confidence, leaking the news to the press. When the story hit the tabloids, Sinatra, known for his fiery temper and intense dislike of public scrutiny, felt blindsided. Furious, he ended their relationship abruptly, cutting Bacall out of his life without giving her a chance to explain. Years later, Sinatra would acknowledge his mistake, apologizing for the way he had handled the situation. But by then, the damage had been done, and the chapter had long since closed. Bacall, ever the epitome of grace, moved forward, focusing on her career and her family. Kim Novak and Sammy Davis Jr.'s love story stands as one of the most daring and heartbreaking romances of Hollywood's golden age. It's a tale of two individuals who dared to defy societal norms and paid a steep price for following their hearts during a time when racial boundaries dictated nearly every aspect of life. Kim Novak, a blonde beauty with a magnetic on-screen presence, was one of Hollywood's rising stars. Sammy Davis Jr., a multi-talented performer who dazzled audiences with his singing, dancing, and acting, was a force to be reckoned with in the entertainment industry. Despite coming from vastly different worlds, the two found an undeniable connection. Their love was instant and intense, sparking during a Hollywood party where their mutual attraction was impossible to ignore. But this wasn't just any love story. It unfolded in the 1950s, a time when segregation was still deeply entrenched in American society. A white movie star dating a black entertainer was not only taboo but outright dangerous. Novak and Davis knew the risks, but chose to pursue their romance in private, seeking solace in each other amidst the pressures of their demanding careers. Unfortunately, their love caught the attention of powerful figures who were determined to keep Hollywood's carefully curated image intact. Novak's studio head, Harry Cohn, was particularly incensed. He feared that Novak's relationship with Davis would tarnish her reputation and by extension the studio's profits. Cohn's response was as chilling as it was ruthless. He reportedly turned to the mob for help. Enter Mickey Cohen, a notorious gangster who delivered an ominous message to Sammy Davis Jr. S. father. If Davis didn't end the relationship, he could expect violent consequences. The threat wasn't just a scare tactic, it was a stark reminder of how power, prejudice, and violence worked hand in hand in Hollywood's darker corners. Under immense pressure and fearing for his life, Davis made a heart-wrenching decision. To protect himself and Novak, he agreed to marry singer Loretta White, a black woman handpicked to appease societal expectations. The marriage was a sham, devoid of love, and ended shortly after it began. But the damage had been done. Davis and Novak were forced apart, their love story cut short by forces beyond their control. What makes their story so compelling is its raw humanity. Novak and Davis were two people caught in the crosshairs of an unforgiving system, trying to navigate a love that the world wasn't ready to accept. Their romance wasn't just about defying societal norms. It was a quiet rebellion against the entrenched racism and hypocrisy of their time. Despite the heartbreak, both Novak and Davis found ways to move forward. Davis channeled his pain into his work, becoming an even greater star and an outspoken advocate for civil rights. Novak, though deeply affected by the ordeal, continued to shine as one of Hollywood's leading ladies, though she rarely spoke about the relationship in public. Their love story stands as a poignant reminder of the power dynamics that have long shaped Hollywood, as well as the personal sacrifices made by those who dared to challenge the status quo. It's a tale of courage and resilience, but also one of profound loss, what could have been if only the world had been a little kinder, a little braver. Up next, we'll explore the life of Maran Davies and her secret ties to William Randolph Hearst, a story filled with intrigue, scandal, and decades-long deception. Maran Davies and William Randolph Hearst's story offers a fascinating glimpse into the lengths Hollywood's elite would go to protect their images and personal lives. It's a tale of love, power, and deception that spanned decades, leaving behind a legacy shrouded in secrecy and intrigue. Maran Davies was a luminous star of early Hollywood, celebrated for her charm, comedic timing, and undeniable presence on screen. But behind the glittering facade, her personal life was far from conventional. For more than 30 years, she was romantically involved with publishing magnate William Randolph Hearst, one of the most powerful and influential men of his time. Their affair was an open secret in Hollywood circles, but it was carefully hidden from the wider public, thanks to Hearst's vast media empire and iron grip on the press. The relationship between Davies and Hearst was one of deep affection and mutual respect, but it was also one marked by complexity. Hearst, a married man, could never publicly acknowledge Davies as his partner. Despite this, he lavished her with extravagant gifts, including the iconic Hearst Castle, and supported her film career, ensuring she remained one of the brightest stars of the silver screen. But the most closely guarded secret of their relationship was Patricia, their alleged daughter. Born in the early 1920s, Patricia was quietly passed off as the child of Marion's sister Rose and raised as her niece. This ruse was meticulously maintained to protect not only Hearst's reputation, but also Davies's career, as a scandal of this magnitude could have ended both. Patricia grew up surrounded by the opulence of Hearst and Davies's world, often spending time with the couple. It wasn't until much later in life, on her deathbed in 1993, that Patricia revealed the truth about her parentage. She disclosed to her family that she was, in fact, the biological daughter of Maran Davies and William Randolph Hearst, a revelation that sent shockwaves through those who knew her. This confession added yet another layer to the already complex narrative of Davies and Hearst's relationship. It highlighted the incredible length they went to maintain their public images, even at the expense of living openly as a family. The secrecy, while effective for its time, also underscored the sacrifices required to navigate love and legacy in Hollywood's unforgiving spotlight. Maran Davies' story is particularly poignant because it reflects the duality of her life. On the one hand, she was a beloved actress, admired for her wit and talent. On the other, she was a woman who had to hide her greatest joys and deepest truths, caught in a web of societal expectations and personal loyalties. For William Randolph Hearst, the tale is equally compelling. As a man who wielded immense power, he was able to shape public perception with a single headline. Yet even he couldn't fully control the narrative of his own life. Patricia's revelation served as a reminder that no amount of wealth or influence can completely erase the truths of the past. Our next story delves into the controversial legacy of Joan Crawford, a star whose obsession with control left a shadow over her family and career. His story takes us down a much darker path, one that starkly contrasts with Maran Davies' carefully concealed secrets of love and family. While Davies' legacy involved protecting her reputation and loved ones from societal judgment, Crawford's tale delves into a world of strict control, alleged abuse, and chilling accusations that shook the foundation of her once glowing image. Known as one of Hollywood's most iconic actresses, Joan Crawford was the epitome of glamour and ambition. Her rise to stardom was nothing short of meteoric, transforming from a small-town girl into a screen legend celebrated for her talent and determination. However, behind the dazzling exterior lay a woman whose relentless pursuit of perfection had profound consequences for those closest to her. The most damning revelations came from her adopted daughter, Christina Crawford, in the explosive memoir, Mommy Dearest. Published in 1978, the book painted a harrowing picture of Crawford as a strict and often abusive mother. Christina described a childhood marred by emotional and physical punishment, with the infamous wire hanger incident becoming a symbol of Crawford's obsessive need for control. The incident, as detailed in the memoir, stemmed from Joan's hatred of wire hangers, which she deemed unworthy of her meticulously curated closets. Christina recounted being awakened in the middle of the night and screamed at for hanging clothes on them, followed by physical punishment. It was a moment that encapsulated the dark side of Crawford's perfectionism, where her obsession with appearances and order spilled over into outright cruelty. But Mommy Dearest didn't stop at tales of household discipline. The memoir also hinted at sinister undertones in Crawford's personal life, including suspicions surrounding the death of her fourth husband, Alfred Steele. Officially, Steele a PepsiCo executive, died of a heart attack in 1959. However, Christina suggested that his death might not have been entirely natural. The family reportedly found steel at the bottom of a flight of stairs, and no autopsy was ever conducted. While the memoir didn't directly accuse Crawford of wrongdoing, the insinuation cast a shadow of doubt over her legacy. Joan Crawford's story is layered with complexities. To her fans, she was a symbol of strength and resilience, someone who had clawed her way to the top of Hollywood through sheer determination. To her children, she was a figure of fear and domination. Her obsession with cleanliness and control, while perhaps a coping mechanism in an industry that demanded perfection, created a toxic environment for those around her. However, it's important to note that Crawford's other children have disputed some of Christina's claims, painting a more nuanced picture of their mother. They described her as a disciplinarian, but not the monster depicted in Mommy Dearest. This divide has left many questioning the accuracy of Christina's account, though the memoir's impact on Crawford's legacy remains undeniable. Despite the controversy, Joan Crawford's contributions to cinema cannot be overlooked. Films like Mildred Pierce, for which she won an Academy Award, cemented her place as one of Hollywood's greatest talents. Her ability to reinvent herself time and again in an industry that often discarded women past their prime speaks to her tenacity and talent. Yet the shadow of Mommy Dearest looms large, reminding us of the duality of Joan Crawford's life. She was both a Hollywood icon and a deeply flawed individual whose personal struggles ultimately shaped her legacy in ways she could never have foreseen. Joan Crawford's legacy of control and scandal contrasts with Carrie Grant's deeply personal tragedy, a tale of childhood heartbreak and the quest for truth that would haunt him for life. Behind the polished exterior of the debonair leading man was a boy who grew up with a gaping void, a haunting absence that would forever define his relationships, his career, and his understanding of family. Grant, born Archibald Leach in Bristol, England, had a childhood far removed from the glittering lights of Hollywood. At just 9 years old, his world was upended when his mother, Elsie, suddenly disappeared from his life. His father, Elias, offered little explanation, telling the young boy that his mother had passed away while visiting a seaside resort. It was a devastating revelation for Grant, and one that left him grappling with feelings of abandonment and grief throughout his formative years. For decades, Grant lived with the belief that his mother was gone forever. The absence of maternal love left a void that he attempted to fill through his relationships and career. Yet the pain of loss remained, influencing his decision-making and emotional stability. Grant's charm and wit on screen often masked the turmoil he carried within, a struggle that even his closest friends and colleagues didn't fully understand. The truth, as it turned out, was far more heartbreaking. When Grant was 31 years old, Elias on his deathbed confessed a shocking secret. Elsie was not dead. She had been alive all along, institutionalized in a mental asylum. Elias, unable or unwilling to cope with his marital responsibilities, had committed her to the institution without telling his son. The revelation sent shock waves through Grant's life. He immediately traveled back to England to find his mother, now a frail and aging woman who had spent over 20 years locked away from the world and from her son. Their reunion was bittersweet. While Grant was able to rescue Elsie from the asylum, the lost years could never be reclaimed. The time they had missed together, the milestones they had been robbed of, and the bond that had been fractured beyond repair weighed heavily on them both. For Grant, this chapter of his life was both a source of closure and an open wound. He dedicated time to reconnecting with Elsie, but the emotional scars were deep. The betrayal by his father, the years of silence, and the lost connection with his mother left him grappling with feelings of guilt, anger, and sadness. These emotions often found their way into his personal relationships, where Grant's difficulty in trusting others became a recurring theme. To cope with the weight of his past, Grant turned to therapy, an unusual choice for a man of his era and stature. In his later years, he openly credited psychotherapy and the use of LSD, a legal and experimental treatment at the time, for helping him process his childhood trauma. These sessions allowed him to confront the pain and explore the complexities of his identity beyond the Hollywood persona. Hollywood may be a land of dreams, but it's also a place of secrets. These stories remind us that even the brightest stars had shadows behind their lights. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more untold tales from Tinseltown's golden age.